Welcome to the Soul House Yoga Retreat, Northern Maine YouTube channel. Today we are finally getting to one of yoga's classic poses and really a great pose. My dog was trained in a prison in Arkansas, and about a year and a half after I had him, I got a handwritten notebook from the prisoner who had trained my dog. And I'd always wondered what he'd been trained in. The reason I'm starting this with that is because he wrote in the front, handwritten composition notebook, I am going to train Bo so that he can live with anyone from 3 to 83. Bo is a good fellow. And I thought that was super sweet. So I'm going to show you today down dog that you can do from 3 to 83. Actually, what I mean is from beginner to advanced. Downward facing dog has actually got a lot going on. So I'll do the best I can to help you understand this posture. First thing is when you do poses where your hair is going to hang into your face, it really helps to tie the hair up. This is not a balancing pose, but I find in particular with balancing poses, if I'm starting with my head down and rising up, I lose my balance if my hair is in front of my face. We need our eyes to keep our balance in our postures, whether we're on one foot, on our arms, whatever. So now we're going to tie up the hair and we're going to start with down dog. I'm going to start with a classic one and then go from beginning to more advanced. In downward facing dog, classically, you want to work to have your arms and your legs as straight as possible. And you often hear the instruction, have your head lined up with your arms. So that is your classic downward facing dog. However, let's say that you are a baby boomer beginner, which we've been doing some things for here, or you're a beginner, or you're not even a beginner, but you still have pretty tight hips, lower back, hamstrings. Those people need to bend their knees in downward facing dog. Also, the distance between your hands and feet depends on where your flexibility and strength are. So let me demonstrate the beginner now. The beginner, we can start out on all fours. And always, as I've said before, when you're going to put weight into your arms, spread your fingers wide, like a starfish, like a little bird. And in downward facing dog, we want our elbows straight and we want our back straight. As I said, the knees may be bent. We'll go there in a moment. Outer elbow to pinky, inner elbow to thumb. So we don't jam the shoulders, we widen the upper back, what I call the shoulder girdle. Your feet are about hip distance apart. You're going to raise your tailbone up. Now here's the person that has tight hips and hamstrings, lower back. They play with how much they can bend their knees. They pull their heels down and back, but chances are they are not going to touch the floor. So first you want to get those arms nice and straight and strong. Outer elbow towards pinky, inner elbow towards thumb. You want to pull the belly in. Now I'm going to go to my down dog again. Pull the belly in. Notice that my lower back does not collapse. Let's say that someone is now 83 and they're starting. As a matter of fact, I have a friend up in Maine that I did teach in her, I think, early 80s, and her downward facing dog was here. She took her chair and just pulled back. Now you don't have quite the same angle, but you're getting a very similar stretch. So those are the beginner ways to do our downward facing dog. So as we advance, what happens is the distance between our hands and feet will increase. So let's go ahead and spread those fingers wide. Now we're not going from all fours. If you go to all fours, we've got a nice little down dog. If you're more advanced, you're going to have the arms come out a little further. By the way, the feet are generally hip distance apart. You'll see some people with their feet together, but that actually just tightens these adductor muscles, and we're not really going to that here in this posture. So I recommend about hip distance, line up the joints, and then bring the tailbone up, bring the heels down and back. And now notice my head might drop a little bit more, but my lower back, I want to keep up. I started to drop that. No. Pull the belly up. Pull the belly up towards the spine. Lower back long. Upper back can get a stretch. And this is really good for the shoulders. Now, the last one I'm going to show you is where you're really trying to open the upper back. And I am actually not very open here, but I can do it. And it's actually good for people like me who are tight up here. I'm going to hold on to my mat and make fists. So everything's going to be a little wider. My arms are going to be a little wider. My feet are going to be a little bit wider. And I'm gonna come up and pull my tailbone back, and now look at this. I'm gonna get my head. This is what dogs do. Downward facing dog. For a long time, I didn't understand why this was called down dog, but dogs do this very easily. My head touched the floor, my upper back was stretching, and to the best of my ability, I wasn't collapsing my lower back. I was trying to keep that belly strong and that lower back long. A couple of other things that you can do is you can put your head on a block, which is a really nice way to make it a more restful posture because you're actually using a lot of muscles, all your major muscle groups in this pose. And so if you want, you can come up and find a place for your head. It might be lower, it might be higher. And then also what happens for me is my neck gets to relax a little bit more. So you see, there are a lot of nuances to downward facing dog. Believe it or not, I'm going to add one more before we finish today. And that is, I tell you to spread your fingers. Often when I'm teaching downward facing dog, I tell people while we're holding it to see if they can spread their toes. A lot of us actually at a very early age are no longer able to spread our toes. And by the way, I've seen people at a very early age have to bend their knees in downward facing dog, right? They've lost their flexibility already from not stretching enough or from sitting a lot, which will tighten up our hips. So I've got this little yoga strap, which I often use if I'm going to hold downward facing dog or upward facing dog for a moment in time. I have very large bunions, so I like to separate my toes as much as I can. I could do it a lot more when I was younger. And I just sort of lost that ability. But if I didn't do yoga, I'd probably really lose that ability. So now I've got these straps on my big toes. I am spreading my toes, and you are welcome to try that in your downward facing dog as well. If you don't need a strap in downward facing dog to spread your toes, ground your big toe down and spread the others. It's pretty amazing. I've seen a couple of things on YouTube. One is a girl that I think she had no arms and she was driving a car, putting on her makeup with her foot. And there's another one of a fellow who is cutting vegetables and then putting them into a fry pan with his foot. So we are designed to use our feet more than we really do, right? Like hands. Amazing, right? So it's kind of a brain thing to bring our awareness back down to the feet. But that's not why we're here today. Primarily, we're here to tell you about Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Very good for your digestion, very good for your nervous system, strengthening and stretching all your major muscle groups. So whatever form you do it, do a downward facing dog. And if you can build up to sun salutes, you're already doing those, Surya Namaskara, make it into the whole sequence. It is said that if you do Surya Namaskaras, that's all you need. So there's lots more fun things to do in yoga, but if you learn your down dog, you've got part of the foundation. I did a up dog sequence a few days ago. You can add other back bends if that's too much for you. And then you'll be ready for your day. So thank you very much for tuning in to the YouTube channel for Soul House Yoga Retreat. We'll hope you'll visit us sometime in Northern Maine. We love offering very customized, personalized, intimate yoga retreats since 1997. And it's 2024, and we were just featured by Condé Nast Traveler as top 10 in the US and Canada. So we're very honored as people along the years have found us and told people about us. And so I'm doing the same thing today. Have a fabulous day and keep up with your yoga. There'll be more to come. Thank you.